Hey there, thanks for stopping by. If you're looking to practice writing linear equations in slope-intercept form, you came to the right place. Throughout this video, I'm going to write 12 equations in slope-intercept form given different types of information. If you just need some extra practice or to brush up on this topic, join me in trying these out. Let's do some math together. In this first problem, we know that this is the y-intercept since there's a 0 located over here. Because of that, we know b is equal to -4. Since we're given the slope is equal to 5, we can say m is equal to 5. Slope-intercept form is just y is equal to mx plus b. We'll take this 5 here and substitute it in for m, and we'll take this -4 here and substitute it in for b. That'll give us an equation of y is equal to 5x minus 4. Let's try number 2 here. Since we have a 0 again, we notice that this 2 is going to be the y-intercept again. We can say from that b is equal to +2. We're also given the slope, so we can say m is equal to -4. Again, slope-intercept form is equal to y is equal to mx plus b. We're going to take our -4 here, substitute it in for m, and we'll take our 2 here and substitute it in for b. Our equation in slope-intercept form is going to be y is equal to -4x plus 2. Let's try number 3 now. Notice right away that this value in the x spot is not equal to 0. That means that this 3 is not the y-intercept. Even though it's not the y-intercept, we can still use these as our x and y in a little bit. Since our slope is equal to -1, we can say m is equal to -1. We can take this m equals -1, substitute it in for m here. This 2 is our x value, so we're going to plug it in right over here. And this 3, which is our y value, is going to be plugged in right over here. Substituting in, we're going to get 3 is equal to -1 times 2 plus b. Multiplying -1 times 2 together, we're going to get 3 is equal to -2 plus b. If we add 2 to both sides here, we're going to get b is equal to 5. Our final equation here is going to be y is equal to -1x, or just -x, plus 5. Here in number 4, notice that this x value is also not 0, so we don't have a y-intercept. We're going to use this 4 as our x, and we'll use this -2 as our y. And as usual, our slope is going to be m, which is going to be 3/2. We're going to substitute this m is equal to 3/2 in for m, or the slope. -2 is going to be our y value, which is right over here, and +4 is going to be our x value, which is right over here. Substituting in, we're going to get -2 is equal to 3/2 times 4 plus b. 3 over 2 times 4 is just 4 over 1, and we can cross cancel this 2 and 4 to make 1 and 2. Multiplying this together, we'll get 6 over 1, or just 6. Substituting that back in, we're going to get -2 is equal to 6 plus b. To find b, we're going to subtract 6 on both sides here, and from that, we're going to get b is equal to -8. Our final equation here is going to be y is equal to 3/2 x minus 8. Again, in number 5, we're unfortunately not going to have the y-intercept, but we do have the slope, so m is equal to -2/3. We can take this m is equal to -2/3 and substitute it in for m here. And remember that this -3 will be our x, and this +4 will be our y. Substituting in, we're going to have 4 is equal to -2/3 times -3, but I'm going to write -3 as -3 over 1, since we have to multiply fractions, plus b. Now we have to multiply this -2/3 by -3 over 1. First, notice that this 3 and 3 are going to cross cancel to make 1 and 1. After cross canceling, we're going to see that 2 times 1 is going to be 2, and 1 times 1 is going to be 1. This thing is just going to simplify down to 2. And I dropped the negative since I knew that a negative times a negative would be a positive. Simplified a bit, we can say that 4 is equal to 2 plus b. To solve for b, we're going to subtract 2 from both sides here. Subtracting 2, we're going to find that b is equal to +2. Our final equation here is going to be y is equal to -2/3 x plus 2. Let's try number 6 together. We know the slope here, or m, is going to be 5 over 4. Since we don't know the y-intercept, we're going to have to solve for it. 5/4 is going to be substituted in for m. This 6 is going to be substituted in for x, and this -1 is going to be substituted in for y. Here we're going to have -1 is equal to 5/4 times 6, which is 6 over 1, plus b. Let's multiply these fractions off on the side. Multiplying 5/4 times 6 over 1, this 4 and 6 can cross cancel to make a 2 and a 3. 5 times 3 on top is 15, and 2 times 1 is 2 on bottom. 15/2 is the same thing as 7 and 1/2. Rewritten here, we have -1 is equal to 7.5 plus b. To solve for b, we're going to have to subtract 7.5 from both sides. From that, we're going to find out that b is equal to -8.5. Our final equation is going to be y is equal to 5/4 x minus 8.5. Now let's try some problems where we're not given the slope. Right away you want to notice the 0 here. That means that this -3 is actually our b value, or our y-intercept. And this 2, 7 is just a regular point. So in this problem we actually know that b is equal to -3, but we don't know the slope right now. Remember that to find slope, we have to find the difference of y's, or the vertical change y2 minus y1, divided by the horizontal change, or x2 minus x1. We can call this first point x1 and y1, and call the second point x2, y2. It doesn't matter which one you label which. Substituting the values in, we're going to get 7 minus -3 over 2 minus 0. 7 minus -3 is going to be just 7 plus 3 to get 10, and 2 minus 0 is going to be 2. This whole thing simplifies down to 5. Now that we have our y-intercept of -3 and our slope of 5, we can write our equation. This -3 is going to be substituted in right here for b, and this +5 is going to be substituted right in here for m. Y is equal to 5x minus 3 is our final equation. Let's look at number 8. Right away, notice this 0. That's good news for us because we know that b is going to be equal to 8. Let's write that down right here. This is just going to be a normal point, so we have to solve for our slope. And we'll label this as x1, y1, and x2, y2. Our equation for slope is y2 minus y1, or vertical change, over x2 minus x1, horizontal change. Substituting in, we're going to get 8 minus 3 over 0 minus -4. 8 minus 3 is going to be 5, and 0 minus -4 is just going to be +4. So now we have our y-intercept, and we also have our slope. Let's substitute our y-intercept here, and our slope of 5/4 right here. Our final equation here is going to be y is equal to 5/4 x plus 8. And here's number 9. Notice this 0 right away is good news, which means that this 3 is actually our b value. We're going to use this 2, 5 to help us find the slope. So we know b is equal to 3, but let's find our slope using our equation. Substituting in, we're going to get 5 minus 3 over 2 minus 0. 5 minus 3 is going to be 2, and 2 minus 0 is going to be 2, and 2 over 2 is just going to be 1. So we know our y-intercept, or b, is equal to 3, and we know our slope, or m, is equal to 1. Our final equation is going to be y is equal to 1x plus 3, or just y is equal to x plus 3. Take a look at these last 3 problems. Can you tell why they're going to be a little bit more work than all the other ones? You might have noticed that the last 3 problems here don't give you the slope, and they also don't give you the y-intercept. These are going to always take the most amount of work for us. Whenever you see that, you can go right into labeling these as x1, y1, and x2, y2. Let's write our equation for slope. Substituting in, we're going to get 7 minus 0 over 5 minus -2. 7 minus 0 is going to be 7, and 5 minus -2 is going to be also 7. 7 divided by 7 is going to be 1. We can take our slope here of 1 and substitute that in for m. However, we still don't know what b is yet. At this point, you can either use this ordered pair here, or this ordered pair here, to substitute in for x and y. It doesn't matter which one you choose because they're both going to work. I'm going to choose the point on the left since it has a 0 in it. -2 will be the x, and 0 will be the y. Now I'm going to substitute our slope in here, the x over here, and the y over here. Substituting in, we're going to get 0 is equal to 1 times -2 plus b. 1 times -2 is just going to be -2, so we'll get 0 is equal to -2 plus b. To isolate b, we'll add 2 to the left and add 2 to the right, and we'll finally get that b is equal to +2. Now that we know what b is, we can write our linear equation. Our final equation is going to be y is equal to 1x, or just x, plus 2. Let's try another one here. First, I'm going to label these as x1, y1, and x2, y2. Substituting in here, we're going to get 2 minus -5 over -3 minus -3. 2 minus negative 5 is going to be 7 on top, and negative 3 minus negative 3 is going to be 0 on bottom. Try to think back and remember that when you have a 0 on the denominator, it means the slope is actually undefined. Do you remember what kind of line has an undefined slope? If you were thinking a vertical line, good job. This final equation is just going to be x is equal to negative 3. This is the equation of the vertical line that goes through these 2 points. In the future, you can observe that if you ever have two x values that are the same, you know it's a vertical line. And let's try one last one. I'll start by labeling each of these points as x1, y1, and x2, y2. Now let's find the slope together. Hopefully we both got that the slope here is going to be negative 7/4. Now we just have to find what the y-intercept is going to be. I'm going to choose this negative 2 to be our x here, and this 3 here to be our y. Remember that this negative 7/4 is our m. By substituting all these values in, we can find b. Here we'll have 3 is equal to negative 2 times negative 7/4 plus b. Now I'm going to multiply this off on the side. Negative 2 is negative 2 over 1, and we're going to multiply by negative 7/4. This 2 and 4 can cross cancel to make a 1 and a 2, so we have negative 1 times negative 7 is positive 7, and 1 times 2 is going to be 2. We have a positive 7 halves since we had a negative times a negative. 7 halves can be also written as 3 and 1/2. Substituting that back in, we're going to get 3 is equal to 3 1/2 plus b. To solve for b, we'll subtract 3 1/2 from the right and 3 1/2 from the left. In doing so here, we should get that b is equal to negative 1/2. Now that we have our slope and our y-intercept, we can write our final equation. Our final equation is going to be y is equal to negative 7/4 x minus 1/2. And that's the end of this video here. Thanks for sitting and doing some practice problems with me. If you found it useful, please let me know in the comment section below. If you have an idea for another topic I can do, you can also let me know there, and I'll try to get around to it. Keep up the great work, and I'll see you in the next one.